Now, there are two games that I'm going to give you that answer this question very clearly. And they do it in different ways. One of them is let's pick any version of D&D.
Yeah.
But specifically the most recent version, which I have just played this morning with my kids.
Okay.
And they and in that situation, we had a big chunk of hit points per opponent.
Yeah.
And the way we know is that either those hit points go to 0, or there is some reaction roll that I will have them make along the way, whereby if they miss it, they will run off.
Yeah.
That's it. There is no other pacing mechanism to this deadly encounter.
No.
That's what they're for. All right? Hit points are not tissue damage. You can describe, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Hit points are a pacing mechanism for how many attacks this is going to take. Right? And so that's all they are. So that's the point of the players know this. And so more than anything else in the world in this fight, they want great big damage rolls. And that's why. Because that's how the whole situation is resolved.
Yeah.
And they know that in this particular game, that it is rare for the damage roll potentially to completely destroy an important opponent. Or they know that if they can get a good roll on their damage, they will destroy one opponent, but there are a lot of them. So that's the point. We have a quantitative, very fine-grained method in this case for knowing when an action, how much of an action's effect is going to resolve the overall situation.
Yeah.
Now let me give you another game. The other game is my game called Troll Babe. And whoever has designated this situation as a conflict right now, this immediate, this exact thing that we are looking at, this character, that character, this location, whoever has said conflict time, that person decides what's called the pace of this conflict. The other person can adjust it, but the point is, whichever they decide upon through the rule, it will either be one roll fits all, or there will be 3 rolls, and they are best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Or there will be 5 rolls. Well, if you get 2 successes, so it's best 2 out of 3, which is minimum of 2 rolls, maximum of 3.
Yeah.
And then there's also the longest one, which is 3 out of 5. So it will be either 3 rolls or 5 rolls, 3, 4, or 5 rolls to determine this, right?
Yes.
So those, we will end up at one of these for the pace for this. In Troll Babe as well, each of the designated rolls has its own subroutine of rolling further inside it. Okay? And that's how you get injured, and killed and things, is if you push any of those too far.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, so therefore we have decided how the fiction is going to look. If it is one roll fits all, then many actions are going to be involved inside that roll. If it is the biggest one, 3 to 5 rolls, then we know this is going to be a lot of choppy action per roll. We know the second roll is never going to resolve that conflict. So we're not going to talk like it is or expect it to.
No.
You see? So we know where we are in this. Do you see how they're two very different games, but each one supplies that information?
I think I mentioned that in the first session that this was a bit of a problem for me because I saw that I mean, the way it is now, it's very much up to me as a game master to decide when to let go.
Exactly.
And I don't want that. I don't want this to be a game that
you and I are in complete agreement about this.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at one other factor in this system, and that is the factor of harm and problems that as my character accumulates along the way. All I see in this table right now is stress, and I'm not saying that's bad, but now I want to know more about stress. In our first roll, I gained some stress.
Yes, you did.
Now, what does that mean mechanically? I know that actually that's kind of a good thing in some way. If I'm able to get an 8, then I can get the blue die. But that's the only one. Otherwise, I just either gain more stress if I roll poorly, or I lose stress if I roll well. Oh, and I can get the blue die and blue 10 and stuff like that if I roll well. But let's assume.
But let's keep it to the stress part, because
right. Let's assume. Never mind the blue die. I love the blue die, but we get it. We get it. Let's look at
let's start at the outcome of rolling a 1.
Right. So here I am.
That's a permanent effect, and then it says the game. I don't know why, but a permanent effect. That is what happens if you have. Either if you have marked 3 stress and you get the fourth one, then that will result in you have to write down an establishment that is actually negative.
Yes.
To
but also I get it if I roll a 1.
Yeah. Okay. Then you get it immediately.
Perfect. Now and also I noticed that it says for the game, that means that this happens for my whole.
No, but I think that's a Google Translate issue. So I just removed that.
Sure.
I think and
a permanent effect. Got it. Now
it's not a permanent, but it will. You have to write it down, and in order to remove it, you have to make a scene.
Right.
You have to create a scene. So there's.
But in the moment of fighting these robots, this is it. That's happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So good. So there's that, and then there's also the accumulation of stress that can have the same effect.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very nice. There are 2 things about it that I want to focus on.
Yeah.
One is that it gives us a way to resolve the situation through defeat that is not the game master just deciding.
No.
Right? So we know how we can loot. We know how this can turn out very badly for us.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
Second,
and but they when you put it like this, then I will put it in the. I think it's still not very clear. So this would be something that you have this much stress and that care and this, and you have a permanent effect. That means that you're captured by the robots.
Right. Right.
I mean, and it's not stated in the system that kind of gives me as a game master the authority to make that decision.
Just close the damn thing for you. You're out. Right.
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, as written at the moment, that at least seems like something to keep in mind as an option. So that at least we know it closes it for that character. And then we have the other comment, which is frankly not as positive, which is that given the dice and the situation and the different things going on, we could have a character just go negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, and just hover between plus and minus stress forever. And at that point, we are finally reliant on the game master to put us out of their misery and just close the fucking thing already. And just say, all right. No, we have gone up and down 5 times, and okay, you get away. Thank God.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not really a very satisfying way of resolving a conflict.
No, I totally agree. And I think I have actually not play tested that. Right. Also, the rolls of 9, 10, 11, and 12 are pretty rare.
Right.
Because it means either that you have some way bought.
Well,
it means
you require a lot of things to boost you into that level. Yes.
Yeah.
But I will point out that one very simplistic possibility is that we adopt that business of the permanent effect as being permanent for purposes of this conflict.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, you're out of the conflict. Fine. And then another one is that the 9 through 10, or that the high level somewhere, the permanent effects at the high level is the opposite. The players can say, look, man, we got the 12, or we got the enough unstress that we can say, we're done. We're out of here. We did it. So that there is an equivalent at the top end of winning, basically. So those are some things to think about. It's not even a suggestion. It's just an understanding of the kind of mechanics that people have used in the past for this.
I think the way I would do it, what I would rewrite from just like, is that the permanent effect should probably be the authority of describing the permanent effect would be the game masters,
right?
And I think that could be everything from being captured to lose an arm,
right? But I'm not interested in those details so much as, and your character is done in this conflict. Is the important
good
for our purposes here. And so since you are already starting to think systemically now about how you would like to do it, then my job is done, you see? Because I'm not on your committee, right? You are the design committee, not me. And so as long as we have clarified where the precise difficulty is, now that's good. My consulting on that is, I don't want to touch it because I'm scared of interfering, right? So
I mean, I think we have touched on this before when I talked about game design. The hardest part in game design is to take away stuff.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And like, could you do it like this instead? Yes, you can always do it like that.
Right,
instead.
Exactly. That's irritating.
You can always change or add stuff, but remove stuff that doesn't add value that's for me at least the really hard part with game design.
Well, on the plus side, I don't see a whole lot here that needs that jumps out as, oh God, take that shit out, right? I don't see that so much. What I am seeing is merely a lack of clarity of how we know we are done.
No.
Through the creative exchanges back and forth. And then the micro level of that.
Yeah.
How much with these shared narrations in particular, how do we keep one person from subverting, from ruining the role that was made?
Yeah.
Right. The role that was made, no matter what is narrated, the role that was made should be honored at the level of success that it is.
Yeah.
And so if you say, well, you ruin that robot completely, but it's not the leader, that's fine. But there still should be some benefit from having done it for getting a 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And
it's not completely, make sure he keeps his 6 somehow, right? Yeah.
And that's equivalent of the hit points or the pacing.
Right.
You've actually done something right, but not as much. So it's kind of
but you one. Yeah. You say, I got the leader, and everybody's like, oh shit, as the leader who's tiny, right? The tiny leader floats up, right? Which is hilarious, and that's great. Yeah. But you still you still get your 6. You didn't get a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
No.
You still get your 6.